For liturgical Christians, the candles on the Advent wreath are part of the ritual of preparation for the coming of the light of God's love into the world in the person of Jesus, the refugee baby born in a manger because there was no room anywhere else for him or for his marginalized family. This Advent, those sparks of light on that wreath have a particular poignancy in the darkness of the violence, extremism, hatred, xenophobia, and bigotry that seems to have pervaded our national discourse and led the news cycle. The darkness is real. And as Martin Luther King Jr. famously said, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Only light can do that. And so, in the darkness of this Advent, the season our former presiding Bishop Catherine Jefferts Schori named as the time when Christians are called to have more hope than the world thinks is reasonable. Our hope, that hope, has been made manifest in these candles on this wreath, in our prayers prayed and lessons read and in songs sung. Now, one of the songs that has been part of the soundtrack for my Advent is a new one to me. It came from my friend Ana Hernandez, who taught it to a group of us gathered in Baltimore the end of November for a large organizational and governance meeting of what they call interim bodies in the Episcopal Church. I know, kind of an unlikely place to get inspiration for Advent, but hey, God finds us where we are. So the tune that permeated my Advent, thanks to Ana Hernandez, goes something like this. Another world is not only possible, she is on her way. On a quiet day, I can hear her breathing. She is on her way. Another world is not only possible, she's on her way. And throughout this Advent season, that was the message playing in the background for me, behind all the other prayers, hymns, and lessons that tell us what that world looks like. Like, prepare the way, O Zion, your Christ is drawing near. His rule is peace and freedom and justice, truth and love. And of course, the Magnificat. He has shown the strength of his arm. He has scattered the proud in their conceit and cast down the mighty from their thrones. He's lifted up the lowly, filled the hungry with good things. And the rich he sent empty away. That, my brothers and sisters, is the world our faith calls us to hear breathing. The world on her way in these waning days of Advent as we await the glory of Christmas. It is the faith of the writer of the letter to the Hebrews, the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not yet seen. Unseen, but yet glimpsed in the glow of the candles lit this Advent, not just on this wreath, but in the world. A circle of cell phones shining at an impromptu cell phone light vigil outside the Ontario Convention Centre, gathered with our bishops and other diocesan leaders in the wake of the tragedy in San Bernardino, when all we could think to do was light a little light and say a little prayer. Candles lit in this chapel in the darkness, the third anniversary of Sandy Hook, as stories were shared and a bell was tolled for those many, many lives lost since then in the scourge of gun violence that afflicts our nation. In a resolution supporting Syrian refugees adopted by our diocesan convention, and a motion opposing Islamophobia approved by our Los Angeles County supervisors. In the boatloads of donated coats now heading out into the community in response to the rector's invitation to turn extra coats in our closets into coats of compassion. The drive goes till December 27th. Keep them coming. And the rector on KPCC, public radio, sharing the moving story of light, love, and grace in the midst of the tragic death of his cousin in the shooting in San Bernardino. These are but a few of the lights of hope and love, of justice and compassion that have been lit this Advent season, a season that is almost behind us as we gather this evening, bathed in light and beauty and music, on the cusp of Christmas. And since we're not only on the cusp of Christmas, but in the wake of the opening of The Force Awakens, I hope you will indulge me in letting me retell a favorite family Christmas story. And lo, it came to pass that one morning over breakfast, my older son Jamie, who is still the detail guy in the family, noticed that something was not kosher in Bethlehem. Joining Mary and Joseph around the manger on the sideboard were Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and 3 Star Wars stormtroopers. Jamie was not amused. In fact, he was pretty irate. "Who let them in?" he said, as if he didn't know the culprit was across from him slurping up Honey Nut Cheerios. "There are no Star Wars guys in the Bible," he harumphed. But my younger son, Brian, not missing a beat, said, "Yeah, well, there wasn't any little drummer boy in the Bible either, and they let him in." "These guys are just waiting for baby Jesus like everybody else. Get over it." Well, Jamie must have gotten over it, because as I remember it, Luke, Hans, and the stormtroopers were still there when I retrieved baby Jesus from his hiding place and put him in the manger late that Christmas Eve when I got home from the midnight service, while they were snuggled fast asleep with visions of sugar plums or whatever dancing in their heads. It's been a very long time since I had boys young enough to argue over adding characters to the nativity scene, but in retrospect, I see in that year's Christmas crush an icon of a core value of this place, of All Saints Church. Whoever you are and wherever you find yourself on the journey of faith, there is a place for you here. And it seems to me that that little drama between my kids at the breakfast table over who gets to decide who gets to come let us adore him was a little microcosm of the challenges we still face as we work to make God's light and love known in this broken and beautiful world. It is an icon for me of another world where everyone is welcome, wanted, and celebrated. A world that is not only possible, but she's on her way. And we are the ones who've been called to light her way, not just with candles on our Advent wreath in the days before Christmas, but with our actions in the world the entire rest of the year, as bearers of more hope than the world thinks is reasonable, hope of a world that is not only possible, but on her way. Listen. You can hear her breathing.